Your concept of posture is very likely outdated, and this is probably the reason why you're not seeing success fixing it. In this video, I'm gonna demystify what posture actually is, what causes it, and what you can do to best fix it and improve it for the long term. You see, many models of posture are based around one main thing, and that is overactive muscles and underactive muscles, tight muscles and long muscles. You see, the overwhelming majority of people think that posture is primarily influenced by the tone of their muscles. What no one seems to ask, but I think is a very fair question and somewhat of an obvious question is, well, why are those muscles tight in the first place? Going into this deeper layer of posture will help us understand what genuinely is going on and therefore what are the best solutions to fix it. You see, the main thing we need to understand about posture is that it is a total body representation of exactly one main thing, and that is your body's ability and its strategy to stand upright against gravity. Based off of so many different variables like injury history, what we do for our lifestyle and hobbies, our career, what we do with athletics, if anything at all, will influence what our body is going to do to try to manage gravity best. Every single body is trying to relatively keep an even center of gravity going down the midline of the body, and it's going to alter its spine curves accordingly to help it best do that. That way it's not falling too far forward or too far backward or too far off to one side or the other. Once we understand this, everything makes so much more sense. Let's say, for example, you had a lot of anterior pelvic tilt. Your pelvis was very much tilted forward. At some point, that pelvis goes so forward to the point where if you go any more forward, you will fall flat on your face. So something above or below it, if not in both areas, has to move back relative to that to help accommodate balancing out your center of gravity strategy. Or let's say, for example, your pelvis was tucked underneath you and tilted into more of like a posterior pelvic tilt. At some point, to prevent yourself from not falling too far backwards, something above or below it, that pelvis needs to move forward to accommodate that center of gravity strategy. Now, let's say the strategy to balance out that pelvis from moving too far forward is for you to hunch your back, so that way you push something back, and that results in a lot of thoracic kyphosis. Now you have these tight pecs because you're always stuck in this position. This is the main problem now, but that is the symptom of a forward center of gravity at your pelvis potentially. But it could also easily be the other way around. Let's say you had a lot of forward head posture, so your head is very forward in space because your neck is really overactive in your breathing strategy. Now something below the neck needs to move back so you don't fall too far forward. Now you look like you have, let's say, a swayback posture and a posterior pelvic tilt, but it's not because of the pelvis, it's because your center of gravity strategy and your overactive neck driving the issue. So once we understand things in this perspective, everything starts to click a little bit better. And the most amazing and incredible thing is that once you start addressing the body this way, all of a sudden all these little minor issues start going away. I see this all the time with my clients. All of a sudden, once you start addressing the body's center of gravity strategy a little bit better, and you start allowing it to express better movement through that, all these little shoulder things, hip things, foot things, they start to clear up on their own without ever necessarily, in some cases, addressing those areas in isolation. That's not to say you don't need to do that at some point. It's just that the first thing that we need to consider is the overall center of gravity strategy. If this is helping you consider posture in a new light, in a new way that you've never really seen before, then it would mean a lot to me in the channel if you could like, but also subscribe and leave a comment down below about how you're now thinking about things a little bit differently. How does it relate to your body and your experience? Let me show you two different cases when I improve someone's posture that are just different types of cases so you get the idea of what I'm talking about here. In this first case, this individual is very pitched forward. So you can tell that their pelvis is forward in space. Now you can say, well, that's anterior pelvic tilt. That's not how I see it. I see it as if their center of gravity is forward through their pelvis, so they had to bring something back underneath their pelvis by hyperextending or locking out their knees excessively. This is helping them balance it out. Another case here would be someone that has swayback posture more so. Their pelvis is tucked underneath them a little bit more. Now their knees are more in a bent position because their pelvis is coming back, so their knees are moving forward to balance them out. Now, it's really a spectrum that I look at. Like on one end, you have people that have a lot of anterior pelvic tilt, and they're kind of in this extension posture. The other end of the spectrum is someone that has a swayback posture. They're more of like a flexion-based posture. It's not to say either don't have extension or flexion problems in other places. It's just a global theme that I see. Now, the way that you can get an idea of whether you're in more of a swayback posture or anterior pelvic tilt posture is to use the Posture AI app. This is the app that I use to get a good idea of where I'm stacking stacking my joints, and that way we can get a good idea of like what is forward, what is back, and it'll give you a pretty nice visualization of your own body. Now, typically, if you have more of an extension-based posture, what you're gonna see when you look at yourself in your side profile view is you're going to see that your pelvis is tilted forward. It's inclined down. You're also going to see that your knees are relatively behind your pelvis. You're likely also going to see a little bit of forward head posture, not a ton, but you're also going to see that your upper back is moved forward, relatively speaking, as well. If you have more of a sway back posture, which you're typically going to see as the main characteristics, is you're going to have a lot more forward head posture. You're going to have a pelvis that looks like it's kind of underneath you. You have a flat back and a flat butt, relatively speaking, and your knees are more in a relatively bent position. Now, if you have more of that anterior pelvic tilt or extension strategy, you're probably going to need to do something that promotes a little bit more flexion while bringing your center of gravity back more so over your heels. So here's a great example that will help you stack your head over your shoulders, over your hips, and properly redistribute weight through your foot.
For this one, get 1 foot length away from the wall, feet hip width apart, and you want to feel the 3-foot contacts on both sides of your heel, base of the big toe, base of the little toe. Your toes are relaxed, your whole foot's relaxed. You're just staying heavy, weight evenly distributed through those 3 points. And you want to get your back flat against a wall. So what you're really looking for here is to feel your PSIS contacts. And those are those little bony knuckle things in the back of your pelvis. If you can't find them with just a little bit of knee bend, you can bend your knees a little bit more, but just sense them up against the wall. They don't need to be heavily pressed. Just being aware is key, bringing awareness to that area. Now, what you're gonna do is with this chair, starting close to you, you're just very gently gonna reach it away from you. If you don't have a chair, you can just reach your elbows away from you like this, keeping your upper back still flat on the wall. And what you're looking for is the protraction of the shoulders, separating your shoulder blades away from your spine and sort of like keeping your rib cage against that wall, but your shoulders are coming forward. And you're gonna feel that separation, a little stretch in between your shoulder blades and spine. Now you're gonna exhale through your mouth very gently, staying heavy on those 3 points of contact. Pause at the end of the exhale, inhale very gently. You might feel some expansion between your shoulder blades and spine because of that reach, and that's good. You really just wanna make sure that you're heavy on those 3 points of contact, weight evenly distributed, maybe a little bit of a bias towards the heels, and those PSIS contacts are always present. The only thing I just make sure not to do here is reach too hard to where your upper back comes off of the wall like this. That's not good. It should be a very gentle reach like so, and your eyes should be perfectly straight ahead. No tension in your neck or low back ever on this exercise. So a full breath will look like this. Right here, bend the knees a little bit, reach.
You should be able to do these exercises if they're the right ones for you and immediately see an improvement within your posture. Now the question is, how do you make it stick? That's what my beginner body restoration program is for. It's designed for anyone to be able to do, requires minimal time or equipment per day, and also it's progressed over multiple phases, starting with simple exercises, going to more complex ones that are more upright and more reflective of how we actually move through the world and the gait cycle. So if you want to see more about that, check it out down below in the description. Also, if you want a way more in-depth guide to understand your posture with actual movement assessments and to get a really good idea for what you specifically need and also address your asymmetries at the same time, check out my Own Your Body course. This course is designed literally for the average person who knows nothing about anatomy or fitness or biomechanics or anything like that. It will teach you exactly the tools you need to learn how to fix your own problems. Viewers of this video get an exclusive 50% off code, which will be down below in the description. And if you're curious about asymmetries or side-to-side differences, it's the same thing. If you have someone that's shifted over or lateralized towards one side of their body, they're probably gonna have a higher hip on that side. So in order for them to not necessarily fall off too far to one side, they're gonna dip their shoulder down potentially on the other side, or gonna side bend their head to the other side. One or two, if not both of those strategies will be present. It's all about the center of gravity. And I just released a couple of weeks ago a full-length video on how you can improve exactly these types of asymmetries. So check it out down below in the description. If you have more of a sway back posture, here are two of my favorite exercises I like to do that will help promote a little bit more extension, but also a better stacking of the joints that works better for what you need.
Now for this, you want to get on your back with your shins parallel to the ground, feet flat on the wall, and you want to feel those 3 points of contact evenly, just a little bit of pressure going through the wall, maybe just a 1 out of 10 evenly through those 3 points of contact on both sides. Start with your chin passively pointing towards the ceiling and a little foam roller between your upper thighs to make sure all this stays in line. Now, all you're gonna do here is just sync the movements of the spine with the breath to drive a little bit more of that healthy extension that we're looking for. So as you inhale, you're gonna arch your back, let your chin naturally drop because your back is arching. As you exhale, you're gonna flatten out your low back a little bit, let your chin tilt back because you're moving through your spine, not your head. So it's gonna look like this. Inhale, exhale, full exhales and inhales. Make sure your neck stays relaxed as you go through this. You're gonna be tempted to engage it, but make sure you have a little bit of pressure through the wall there. So inhale. Pressure will come off the wall very slightly, but maintain that pressure. Exhale, flatten it out, get a little bit more pressure into the wall there. Feel your back flatten out. Inhale. Exhale. Like so. It is that simple. To do this, you want to get something that's about the height of your hips, a flat surface, and a little foam roller you can put between the uppermost portion of your thighs like this. You want to get 1 foot length away from that object and get your feet hip width apart. You want to feel the key foot contacts of, as I mentioned in a lot of my exercises, the heel, the base of the big toe, and the base of the little toe. Your toes are relaxed, but you're feeling those points evenly, those 3 points evenly on both sides. Take that foam roller, put it up deep in your groin, or just any sort of like ball that would be about the width of a foam roller would work. And then very slightly bend your knees. Place your hands on that table. Make sure you maintain a neutral spine with your eyes looking straight ahead. Now, again, I feel my weight evenly distributed through those points. And then what you're gonna do is just slightly push your hips back and forward fold at your torso as you sort of hinge down and slide your hands up. Stopping at the point where you feel just the slightest stretch in the back of your hips, only in your glutes, never in the front, only in the back. And then keeping your eyes, again, just kind of like looking neutral ahead of you, you're going to feel those foot contacts, very slightly squeeze the foam roller, maybe just a 2 or 3 out of 10. You're gonna breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth in this position, really owning it, really feeling that neutral spine and your weight stacked over those 3 points of contact evenly and that little stretch in the back of your hips. Then after that, maybe about 2 breaths or so, release the squeeze on that foam roller, go down just a tiny bit more, literally just an inch or 2. And then re-squeeze, make sure you keep feeling those foot contacts, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth for a couple of breaths, and then go down to the point where if you went any further, just keep going through reps, but you're gonna get to a point where if you go any further, you're gonna feel any tension in the front of your hips or your back is gonna start to round, you're gonna have to overly move through your back. This should be a hinge through the hips. It should not occur anywhere through the low back. So for a lot of people, they're gonna need to start up high and not as much of this hip bend, and then over time, they can get down lower. The biggest mistake to look out for here is as they do that, they're gonna push their hips back and lift their toes up like this. That's why I cued all 3 of those foot contacts. You need to make sure your foot is very relaxed, but you feel heavy through those 3 points as you go down.
Thank you guys for watching. I'd recommend starting with these exercises, and they are just introductory ideas to give you an example of what we want to do here. But at the end of the day, they should be helpful. I recommend doing about 2 to 3 sets of about 5 to 10 very slow and controlled breath cycles, both in the morning and at night to start, and progressively over time, you can do less and less. But also don't forget to check out my beginner body restoration program and also my Own Your Body course. Like I mentioned, you can save on both of those by clicking the link down below in the description.